Joe, what the f***'s on your face? Yeah, so when you work on a tanker, you have to grow a tanker stash. And wouldn't you know it, I signed on to a tanker. I'm currently on a West Coast tanker. We're running gas, diesel, oil, all kinds of stuff up and down the West Coast. Alaska, Long Beach, Anacortes, Portland, all the West Coast spots. Yeah, so let's go. With the current state of the world, I knew once I signed on the ship, I wouldn't be getting off until I finished my trip. For that reason, I wanted to make sure whatever ship I signed on had some pretty sweet views. Couldn't think of anything better than a West Coast tanker. I signed on as an 8 to 12 watch standing AB, which means I'd be standing watch from 8 to 12 morning and night, and do a little work on deck from 12 to 4.
I don't care what anybody says. A modern American sailor is one of the world's best painters.
From San Fran, we would head down to Long Beach, arriving in the middle of the night for good measure. After spending nearly a week in sunny Long Beach, we would leave and start our 5-day transit to Anacortes, Washington. The transit was a little rough, to say the least. The North Pacific in December can be a little unforgiving. The best way I can describe what consistent 20-degree rolls feels like. Imagine struggling walking up a hill. Then in a split second, you can't control yourself from running down it. Over and over and over again. Coming back to a trashed room was pretty common. At first, the rolling was exciting. Feeling small, being pushed around by the mercy of the ocean. But after a couple days, it starts to wear on you.
Laid on the couch. It's hard work the ship, so I was rolling not side to side, but like head to my toes, so I may be able to sleep a little bit better.
After a rough transit, we finally made it to the Straits of Juan de Fuca, which would take us right into Anacortes, Washington. Up here, bald eagles are like seagulls. They're seriously everywhere. So if you were lucky enough to arrive or depart on your watch, you would have the responsibility of connecting or disconnecting the hoses. Because of how toxic the cargo was, we were required to wear respiratory protection. To ensure there was a tight seal around our masks, all crew members were required to be clean shaved, with the exception of a mustache. Because guys were only allowed to grow a mustache, pretty much everybody grew the Then we have Rex. So now that you know most tankers are filled with guys with mustaches, we can move on. We left Anacortes and made a short transit to Portland, Oregon. Arriving in Portland is pretty cool. One, because the pilot boards by helicopter. But also, being able to steer down the Columbia River is breathtaking. It's an 8-hour transit filled with trees and mountains. Columbia River is truly spectacular. If you're lucky enough to catch it before the fog rolls in. No sooner than we would arrive in Portland, we would turn around and head back out to sea. Except this time, we'd be heading north to the last frontier, Alaska. It would take 5 days to reach the snow-capped mountains of Cook's Inlet. We would be spending the next couple weeks going back and forth between Nikiski and Valdez. Spending winter in Alaska means 6 hours of daylight, freezing temperatures, and unpredictable weather. But we always had the mountains in view.
Yeah, I opened it and closed it.
waited outside. I took your remote. I wanted a bed. Tell the story, oh, it goes. Tell the story, oh, it goes. Full time, you talk your money up whilst living in a coal mine. Told time to call you my, hey my. Told Ford you know you mop it up. Well, you wanted it your whole life. You're back and forth like. I waited outside. I was talking on dough. I hoped it all won't go in a minute. With the past, you know who. I wanted all that mine sugar. I wanted all mine. I had a heavy mind, sugar, and I took it was right. Full time, you took your money out whilst living in a coal mine. Told time to call you my, hey my. Told Ford you know you mop it up. Well, you wanted it your whole life. You're back and forth with life.
And after a couple weeks of getting our asses kicked, headed back down south. And that's how things were. Jumping around the ports on the west coast, occasionally making our way up to Alaska for a couple weeks. Taking comfort in our schedule and our work.
Good copy on Bay Bridge and LaPush, standing by.
Enjoying each other's company. Counting the days till we go home. Just another day at sea.
Want rain on the ship? Just start painting.
Just left Alaska, headed back down south. Got one more week left, baby. 1 week.
Looking back, I couldn't have asked for a better ship. Most of the ports we went to were absolutely beautiful. Seeing Alaska was incredible. Both captains were great guys. The whole deck department, chief mates, the bosuns, my watch partners. To be a part of such an amazing crew is what made this trip so great. And a special shout out to DJ for singing the song and helping me with the footage. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Hope I see you again, American Endurance. It was truly a pleasure.